After the devastation, a man came from another land and he came forward. He was able to offer answers for everything that had happened. He just explained it away. He knew why it happened, what the colon fire was, why it came, why it caused the volcanoes to erupt. He had an answer for everything. And he also offered a safe haven for people, like a small community for people to come, and they would be given jobs and they could help rebuild society. And so a lot of people did this because it not only gave them a purpose, but it gave them security. Like, this guy had resources, and so they were able to function and feel like they had direction. So they went to work for him. They gained a way to support their families again, find their families that had been lost or separated, deal with the loss of, the destruction that had come. But as his reach started to grow and span everywhere, and as he started doing his work, he started to share his philosophy of how our new world needs to operate so that we don't face these problems again. And at this point, I don't know why, but Christians became targeted. The reason and the background of that was not given to me. All I know is that we fled from the places that we were at. We hid in the woods. We lived in abandoned houses, any kind of shelter we could find, hoping not to be found. And then suddenly the scene switched. Suddenly I was in the woods and there was this broken down home. And I went into it to hide, and there were some other believers gathered there, and we had to be very quiet because we just didn't trust. Like, I don't know why, but we just felt like we were being listened to, that any noise or voice could be heard, and that we could be easily found. And so we didn't even really try to talk a whole lot. We just tried to be super quiet and constantly hide and duck. And this is what strikes me as odd. My aunt came into this home. Now, I don't speak with my aunt. I haven't spoke with her in probably a decade. She identifies as pagan and practices witchcraft. So I don't have anything to do with her. So it was odd that she showed up in my dream. She came into this house and I asked her to shut the door, and she brushed it off as if we weren't in any danger. She offered to check in the woods for soldiers, and then she left. She didn't come back, and so I peeked up to see if I could see her, and I couldn't see her anywhere. And that's when I saw soldiers started to emerge from the woods. And then I kind of understood that she was part of their army, and she was like a scout. Anyways, the army was large. There were many of them, and I was given eyes to see them spiritually. They were naked, long clawing nails. They had barred and jagged teeth, almost like the mind of a wild animal. They were very animalistic and like beasts. But then I was able to see them in reality. In reality, they wore military, like cargo pants with combat boots, and their shirts were kind of like that of the Boy Scouts. They were very, like, their atrocities knew no boundaries. They were very volatile. They would play games with us as they killed us off. It was disgusting and terrifying. Like, I literally woke up from this dream crying and terrified. Many of us in the house were killed. I ran away and I was able to find a vehicle, and so I jumped in this vehicle and I sped away. And I noticed on the dashboard that there was this sign. It looked like a sign that you would see posted up on an announcement board, and I knew I was given this sign specifically. I was given it. I don't know who gave it to me or why it was there, but I was given it. So I start riding down the road. Down the road, I see a roadblock. But then when I go to turn around, there's people behind me, and I wasn't able to. And so up ahead, I see that the army has set up this roadblock, and they're pulling people out of their cars and killing them. And then a boy gets pulled out of his car and he holds up the sign. And I realize, oh my gosh, that's the same sign as I have. And instead of killing the boy, they take him into custody. And so as soon as they pull me out of the car, I point to the paper because somehow I know I don't speak the same language as they do. So me and the boy were taken to this military base. And we stay with a host family. They all wore the same color shirts. And I noticed this, like depending on your job or your chore, your task, whether you were a military personnel or whether you were a housewife or whatever the case may be, you wore different colored shirts. They played games. They listened to the radio. They had plenty of food. It kind of reminded me of the old days, as if like the disasters never happened. They would sit and scowl at me and the boy. And when we left the room, I heard the ladies of the house giggling quietly and joking about our beliefs in God as if we were crazy. We knew that they hated us and they wanted to kill us. I thought it was odd that they still believed in God. These people really thought they believed in God. In fact, they had Bibles. But one thing I noticed is their Bibles were half the size of like the King James Version Bible. And they would study it. They would read it aloud. And I just remember thinking, I was amazed that they worshiped this false God. They didn't understand that they were being deceived. They truly believed it, and they hated us because they thought of us as like pagans. They really thought that they were serving God by eradicating us. And they despised us because they saw us as like a stain against their God or something. And I don't know, it was just weird. When the guards came to get us, because we were told that there would be a gathering, I knew that they were going to have a rally and that the man who led all this and started all this, the leader of like everything in the world right now, would be speaking. I knew we would be brought before him and that there was no way that we would live past this point. I recalled having this thought like many, many times before. Like years had passed at this point, and countless times, like when I was hiding in the woods, I had considered like, would it be so bad to be caught? Would it be so bad to die? Like at least I would go to Jesus, you know? But for some unknown reason beyond my comprehension, I just kept running and hiding and fighting forward. That may have just been my innate desire or will to live. I don't know. But with our hands bound, the guards walked us outside toward the stage. And there were stadium lights all the way around. And the stage that they had built. And there were rows of seating out front. And I knew it was time. I knew I wouldn't live past this point, that I would meet this man, and that me and this boy would be killed.